right now at noon. Ready to hit the road for the holiday? Your travel forecast including delays.
We've had some unexpected thunderstorms through the morning hours today, bringing some much needed rainfall. We still have the severe threat heading into tonight and excessive heat still on the way. A lot to talk about in that forecast coming up.
And former President Trump talks secret documents, how a newly obtained audio recording could impact the federal case against the former president.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
With the July 4th holiday now a week away, be prepared for traffic. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, according to AAA, the number of Americans traveling by car and air this holiday weekend could be at record levels. The agency predicts 50.7 million people will travel 50 miles or more from their home for the July 4th holiday. That would break the record of 49 million set in 2019. AAA says 43.2 million people will drive to their destinations. That's up more than 2% from last year and 4% higher than in 2019. Well, that's due at least in part to lower fuel prices than a year ago. The average in Crawford County, Kansas sits at $3.18 a gallon. Newton County is $3.16. Jasper County, Missouri, currently a little lower at $3.18. And in Ottawa County, Oklahoma, you can buy a gallon of regular unleaded for $3.14. Well, we are keeping our eyes on the sky today. Chris Warner joins us with a first look at the forecast.
Yeah, there is a lot to cover in the forecast. We're going to touch on a little bit of it here and go more in depth here in a few minutes. We have alert days for tomorrow and Thursday for dangerous heat with temperatures in the low to mid 100s out there. And then we've also got strong to severe thunderstorms overnight tonight. MoDOT camera 20th and range line looks great out there, well, with the cloud cover, and we've got rain on the Skywatch storm tracker and even some thunderstorms still back into parts of northeast Oklahoma. All of this just kind of blossomed off of some thunderstorm activity out near Wichita and just continued to sweep on through the area. And while this was not the original expectation for this morning, I know there is nobody complaining about receiving some of this much needed rainfall. And the good news is for us, we have not seen any severe weather in our area from this activity, but that will change overnight tonight. We've still got that very low wind tornado risk just clipping Elk and Chautauqua counties. The hail threat, the good news is that's the elevated risk has been removed, but we still have the elevated to enhanced wind risk with that hatched area indicating winds 70, 80, 85 miles an hour with a complex of thunderstorms that's going to roll through here around midnight or so. We'll have more on that in just a moment. Yesterday, started the day at 59, made it up to 89 out there. And thanks to the clouds and the rainfall, we are considerably cooler than where we were expecting to be as well. Look at this, 67 Neodesha, Parsons, 75 Oswego, 79 in Miami, a little warmer, 77 Joplin, 76 in Pittsburgh. We're going to talk more about that severe threat for tonight, those hot temperatures on the way, and how the rest of the week looks and next week here in just a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. In Nation Watch, an audio recording where former President Trump is allegedly heard discussing secret documents. The tape may be critical in the federal government's case against the former president and also seems to contradict some of Trump's recent statements. Jared Hill reports.
He said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the papers. This was done by the military, given to me.
A 2-minute recording of Donald Trump could prove to be key evidence in Special Counsel Jack Smith's indictment of the former president over alleged mishandling of classified documents. According to the indictment, the recording from 2021 captured a conversation Trump had at his New Jersey golf club with a book writer, a publisher, and 2 staffers, none of whom possessed a security clearance.
Let's see here.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, you know. Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. But look at this.
The recording appears to contradict Trump's recent claim he didn't have any documents with him.
I didn't have a document per se. There was nothing to declassify. These were newspaper stories, magazine stories.
Trump has repeatedly insisted he declassified any documents he may have had, but in the recording,
Yeah. See, as president, I could have declassified. Yeah. No, I can't, but this is classified.
Yeah. Earlier this month, former President Trump pleaded not guilty to 37 counts stemming from this case. And a spokesperson for his campaign says the recording shows he did nothing wrong.
He's going to say that he never had a document in his hand up in Bedminster, New Jersey, and that he was just waving around some papers willy-nilly.
The Justice Department wants the trial to begin in December. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
Former President Trump's close aide, Walt Nauta, who has also been charged in the documents case, was expected to be arraigned in a Florida courtroom this morning. But weather impacted his flight to Miami, and the arraignment has been postponed. Well, just days after an armed rebellion, Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke in Moscow's Cathedral Square, praising his country's security forces for stopping what he called a civil war. Last night, in his first public appearance on TV since the weekend revolt, Putin called the organizers traitors. Ian Lee reports from Ukraine.
The failed mutiny last weekend still hangs heavy over Russian President Vladimir Putin. He lashed out again at Wagner's leadership on state TV last night, saying they would be punished for the rebellion. But he also courted the rank and file, calling many Wagner fighters patriots who were misled and invited them to join the Russian army. The Ministry of Defense announced today that Wagner will now hand over its heavy weapons. Putin's speech last night followed an audio recording from Yevgeny Prigozhin, who has not been seen publicly since Saturday. The Wagner boss denied trying to overthrow Putin, saying his fight was with the country's military leaders, who he accused of failing to win the war in Ukraine. Putin tried to mask the uncertainty in the country last night with images that he's firmly in control. He met with his security chiefs, including Minister of Defense Sergei Shoigu, and thanked them for their support. State media portrayed a return to business as usual, with scenes of battlefield victories in Ukraine. But Saturday's mutiny showed cracks in Putin's strongman image. Wagner troops quickly seized the city of Rostov and the Russian military's southern command, then headed toward Moscow. It took a deal, brokered by the president of Belarus, to stop his deadly advance toward the city. Wagner fighters would be pardoned, and Prigozhin would go into exile in Belarus. Putin also took aim at the West, telling his people that Russia's enemies wanted them to choke on bloody civil strife. On Monday, President Biden distanced the United States from the insurrection.
We gave Putin no excuse to blame this on the West or to blame this on NATO. We made clear that we were not involved. We had nothing to do with it. This was part of a struggle within the Russian system.
U.S. officials tell CBS News another $500 million aid package to Ukraine will be announced today. That'll include Bradley and Stryker armored fighting vehicles, equipment that Ukraine desperately needs as it continues to take ground in its counteroffensive. And today we're learning a plane linked with Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin has landed in the Belarus capital of Minsk. No word yet if he was on board. Ian Lee, CBS News, Pyryatin, Ukraine.
Well, today is PTSD Awareness Day. At least 1 out of every 13 people suffer from PTSD, and for some, it develops after someone experiences a shocking or dangerous event. That event can be a number of things, like military combat, a victim of a crime, an accident, or even surviving a natural disaster like the Joplin tornado. Now, women are actually more likely to develop PTSD than men. The numbers show about 10% of women and 4% of men will develop PTSD in their lifetime, but there is help.
I tell all my clients is it is 100% curable. I usually use something like cognitive processing, which means we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about it and talk about it until your brain is desensitized to that trauma.
PTSD affects about 3.5% of U.S. adults every year. That's about 8 million adults in the U.S. who suffer from PTSD at any given time. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, a tourist is caught on camera carving his name into Rome's ancient Colosseum. And later, we're making an 8-layer pistachio square in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. A video at one of the most historic landmarks in the world is sparking outrage. As Riley Carlson reports, it shows a man carving his fiance's name into Rome's ancient Colosseum.
Caught red-handed keying the Colosseum.
Serious, man?
A pair of tourists is drawing the ire of the internet after apparently carving Ivan plus Haley 23 on the ancient walls. The 2,000-year-old Colosseum is Italy's most popular attraction, and as throngs of tourists pack in for the summer season, they say the behavior is disappointing.
I understand that some of them want to leave their mark, but we believe that things should be preserved as they were.
I really get angry with them.
It helps us learn from the past. I just don't think it's right.
This is the fourth case of vandalism here so far this year. Italy's news agency says the person responsible could face $15,000 in fines and up to 5 years in prison. Italy's culture minister says it's a sign of great incivility and hopes they find the culprit. Riley Carlson, CBS News, London.
A Russian tourist who engraved a big letter K on the wall of the Colosseum in 2014 was fined $25,000 and given a suspended 4-year jail sentence. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
1, 2, 3, 4 layers, and I'm only halfway there. Wait until you taste all 8 layers of this no-bake delight.
But first, we are watching the dangerous heat as we head into Wednesday and Thursday, and the threat for strong to severe thunderstorms tonight. We'll have a complete breakdown when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at Noon. We had some unexpected rainfall through the morning hours, and that is continuing for some of us. And I know nobody's complaining because we certainly need that rain. But that doesn't erase the severe threat we have tonight and the dangerous heat we have coming in tomorrow. So let's go ahead and dive right into this forecast. All right, as we mentioned, we have alert days for tomorrow and Thursday for this dangerous heat. We're looking at temperatures tomorrow and into Thursday in the low to mid 100s. Then we have a possible alert days. We're watching the possibility of those low 100s continuing into our Friday as well. So after today, we're really going to get into this heat, and it's going to be a potentially dangerous situation. We could also break some records this week as well. We're expected to make it to 102 tomorrow. That could tie the record in 2012. Thursday, we're looking at 107, which could easily break the 1953 record of 103. And then Friday, right now, we're expecting to make it to about 104, which could break the 2011 record of 100. Let's take a look at Skywatch Storm Tracker. We've got a few scattered showers out there, some heavier rain in parts of southeast Kansas, and some thunderstorm activity in northeastern Oklahoma. So we'll take a look at southeast Kansas first. A good dose of rain out there. It's not torrential rain by any means, but at least it is rainfall. Back into northeast Oklahoma, these storms were a little stronger earlier. They're continuing to weaken as they push off to the east-southeast, and that will eventually be the case with all of this activity as it'll start to break up out there. But look at it. It goes all the way back to Wichita, big thunderstorm complex, and it ended up holding together. There was enough energy around here that it was able to keep some of that rainfall going with it. Then tonight, believe it or not, we're actually going to clear out after this, and it's going to get hot today. We are looking at the chance for strong to severe thunderstorms. Now, out to our west, they've put in that high-end risk, but for us, we've got the low to elevated risk across the region, and the primary threat with that, again, is still looking to be damaging wind gusts. So we still have that little sliver of a very low tornado risk for parts of Elk and Chautauqua counties. They have removed the elevated hail risk, which is great news. We don't need that. Unfortunately, the elevated to enhanced wind risk is still there. And that those little hash marks on there indicate the potential for significant wind. So we're talking wind gusts 70, 80, 85 miles an hour as we go into the overnight hours tonight. So what kind of overnight hours are we talking about? Well, we're looking right still at about midnight to 3 a.m. So we go into the evening, we'll start to see a few increasing clouds, but look at this, 9 o'clock still in the low 80s out there. And then here comes that batch of thunderstorms, and that's what's going to be strong to severe, bringing those damaging wind gusts across the area. And by 3 a.m., starting to cross into the Missouri side, the thing is after that, it quickly moves out. And that's another reason why damaging winds is the big threat, because well, it's going to be moving quickly. So those rain chances will ramp up as we head into the overnight hours, and of course holding on for a little bit as this current batch of showers moves on through. All right, MoDOT camera, 20th and range line. We got cloud cover out there. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue. 7th and range line, cloudy. Even though that says sunny, I don't know who makes this observation, but that's not accurate. 77 in Joplin, feels like 79. Here's the problem with that moisture out there is it's increasing our humidity and dew point, giving a little more energy for these storms as we head into tonight. 76 in Pittsburgh, feels like 78 right now, and again, dew point and humidity increasing. And temperatures, they were a little cooler, starting to warm up. They're not hot yet, but 71 Yates Center, Chanute, 77 Chetopa, 79 Miami, and 78 in Neosho. Let's go ahead and look down the road. We're still looking to make low 90s today, triple digits Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We got the thunderstorm chances Friday evening into Saturday. I wanted to show you the 4th of July. We have pop-up storm chances Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. So don't cancel your 4th of July plans, but do be prepared for a pop-up shower or two out there. Outside of that, make sure you're staying hydrated, taking precautions, because we got highs on the 4th of July pushing the mid-90s out there. So we're not going to get rid of this heat anytime soon, but at least we've got some rain to go with it.
And the problem is that's the real temperature. It's not factoring in the humidity and what it actually feels like.
Exactly, and those heat index values could be pushing 110 easy.
Maybe I shouldn't have brought that up.
Probably shouldn't have, but folks do need to know.
Yeah, for sure. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, stick around. We're making a no-bake recipe. Don't heat up that oven. 8-layer pistachio squares in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen after the break. Looking for a dessert that's full of flavor and no fuss? Today, Howard shows us an easy make-ahead recipe for 8-layer pistachio squares in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
As we're about to enter the dog days of summer, it's time to start thinking about ways to keep our cool, no matter how hot it gets outside. One sure way to do that is with a cool and refreshing no-bake dessert. For the lightest can be filling, we combine a container of whipped topping with a couple of boxes of pistachio pudding that we made according to the package instructions. We add a handful of chopped pistachios, and after this is mixed, we set it aside. Then we line a baking dish with graham crackers and top them with about 1/3 of our pistachio mixture. We'll repeat layering this 2 more times until all the graham crackers and the filling is used up. Now we frost the top of this with whipped topping and garnish it with a few chopped pistachio nuts before putting it into the fridge to set up. Look at this, a cool and refreshing dessert that we made without turning on our oven or breaking a sweat. And when you dig your fork through layer after layer, you'll be smiling from ear to ear. To get the recipe for our 8-layer pistachio squares, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a no-bake, no-stress way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
I can handle that. I love some pistachio. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
All right, scattered showers and thunderstorms wrapping up in the next couple of hours. Strong to severe thunderstorms with damaging winds appear likely overnight tonight between about midnight and 3 a.m. Alert days Wednesday and Thursday. Possible alert day Friday for temperatures soaring into the triple digits. More storms Saturday, maybe a few on Monday as we drop back briefly into the low 90s.
All right, what do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, the CDC issues a health alert after 5 cases of malaria are confirmed in the U.S. We're going to have more on that for you in Health Watch. Plus, we'll hear from some local veterans as they share stories on how the sounds of fireworks can affect them and steps to take to protect themselves as the rest of the country celebrates freedom. And Frank Fletcher Subaru donates blankets to cancer patients. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dal. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.